Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the 2020 TimeformUS Road to the Kentucky Derby series where we handicap the Kentucky Derby prep races. The focus this week is down in Florida at Gulfstream Park on the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth Stakes, offering 50 Derby qualifying points to the winner. This race is going a mile and a 16th down there with the short stretch run and that quick run into the first turn, which means that post position is going to be very important. Let's take a look at the entire field of this race, and you see the favorite is the number 5, Dennis's Moment, 2-1 on the morning line. The horse, though, that really got the worst of the post position draw is the number 12, Chance It. He is drawn in the far outside post position with plenty of long shots drawn inside. This field really swelled at the last minute and hurt the chances of those horses drawn towards the outside, including shots against Ete Indian, who comprised those 3 post positions towards the outside of the starting gate. Let's start, though, by taking a look at the TimeformUS pace projector before we dive into these contender PPs. You see that the number 6, as seen on TV, and the number 10, Shotsky, are out towards the front end, closely stalked by the number 1, Candy Tycoon. I think it's likely to play out that way. It's a fast pace being predicted here, and that's really no surprise because a lot of these horses that we're going to discuss, they have tactical speed. They want to be placed up towards the front end. The number 6, as seen on TV, is not a need-the-lead type, but he's got an aggressive rider on board in Paco Lopez. And the number 10, Shotsky, has done his best running on the front end in his last 2 starts, so I imagine new rider John Velasquez will be aggressive with him. Also, horses like Ete Indian, the number 11, the number 12, Chance It, and even Dennis's Moment, the likely favorite. They're not slow in the early going. They're going to be pushing that early pace, so I do think a fast, honest pace will develop. Let's move on to that favorite's past performances, the number 5, Dennis's Moment. Obviously, this horse disappointed last time in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You can just draw a line through that race because he stumbled so badly at the start, was out of position for the entire race. They just wrapped up on him. I know that was really frustrating for Dale Romans, who thought he was going to be crowned the 2-year-old champion that day. Didn't work out that way. It's taken him now some time to get back to the races. That was all planned out to have these 2 preps prior to the Kentucky Derby. He's starting off his 3-year-old season in this Fountain of Youth. Let's, though, take a look back at one of his finer moments. That's when he broke his maiden at Ellis Park last July. This performance was seriously impressive. The 1:16 TimeformUS speed figure that he earned for the effort, totally legitimate. That number was actually knocked down a bit off the final time speed figure of 1:22, which is just faster than you ever see 2-year-olds running in their summer of their juvenile seasons. The number totally stacks up to scrutiny when you look at how the horses have come back out of this race. Now, Dennis's Moment did stretch out around 2 turns in his start after this in the Iroquois, won that race by nearly 2 lengths, was geared down at the end, beat some good horses like Scabbard and Lebda. That number hasn't held up to scrutiny quite as well as his maiden victory, but it's not like horses have come back out of that race and run poorly. They just haven't really improved out of it. Though Dennis's Moment in those 2 victories ran speed figures that are fast enough to win this race, he does not have to improve at all on that 2-year-old form to beat this field. It's just a matter of, is he fully cranked coming back off the layoff, and has anybody else stepped up to surpass him at this point? And let's take a look at some of the others to see if they can make that forward move to get on terms with Dennis's Moment. One horse that some people think might be able to do it is the number 12, Chance It, who won the Mucho Macho Man last time in a close decision over as seen on TV. This horse, we'll see if he runs in this race, because I know his trainer Safi Joseph and the connections have said they're pretty displeased by drawing this outside post position, so there's some uncertainty about whether he'll target a different Derby prep instead of running in this Fountain of Youth on Saturday. Let's take a look at that Mucho Macho Man, though, because I want to focus on both of these horses, Chance It and as seen on TV, coming through the stretch of this race. Chance It slips up the inside of that tiring front runner, whereas seen on TV comes around the outside. These two hook up at the quarter pole and really put on quite a show coming to the finish of this race. I've got to admit, while it's not really relevant to their performances on this upcoming Saturday, I was a little bit surprised that there was no disqualification in this race, because Chance It really does come out in the final 16th of a mile and badly intimidate as seen on TV. There wasn't a lot of contact between them, but there was a ton of hurting going on at the end of this race. That said, Chance It's a really game horse, and I want to give him all due respect because he's run plenty of fast speed figures in his career. He just has a nose for the wire, seems to put up a fight to the finish in every race that he's in. I just have a little bit of question about him stretching out to the mile and 16th. I know he did it in reality stakes at Gulfstream Park last September. That was against much softer field, though, Florida breds. Now he's got to break from the outside post position and handle a much tougher open company field. I actually prefer as seen on TV out of that Mucho Macho Man, and he's the horse that I think might be be the biggest threat to Dennis's Moment in this race, because some people might look at his past performance to say, oh, he's a horse that was really cranked up to win sprinting in his debut. Then he did so well going 6 furlongs in that Smoke Lacken against the highly promising Meru in his second start. He got the mile last time, but chance it drew away from him at the end of that race. Though, as seen on TV, I was kind of surprised when I looked up his pedigree, because he's by Looking at Lucky, and Looking at Lucky is a sire that can certainly get horses to go longer distances. He really is an excellent route influence, and on the downside, there's a ton of stamina breeding with this horse. He's a half-brother to Cage Fighter, who was a turf router. He is out of a dam, Untamed Passion, who is a half-sister to a Super Derby winner going 1 1/8, and his second dam, Lotta Dancing, she was a Shug McGahee runner who just wanted to run all day. I believe she was grade 1 placed. She ran in just graded stakes going 1 1/8, 1 1/4 on the dirt. So everywhere you look in his pedigree, there are stamina influences, and that leads me to believe that he's actually a horse who outran his pedigree going shorter and might improve going this 1/16 distance. It's not like he has to improve at all, though, because that 1:12 TimeformUS speed figure that he earned in the Mucho Macho Man makes him a real threat to Dennis's Moment in this race, and if he's around that 9-2 morning line, I think that's a fair price on As Seen on TV. Taking a look at some of the other contenders, Ete Indian was second to Tis the Law, one of the top Derby prospects out there last time in the Holy Bull. We'll take a look at that race. I thought Ete Indian was pretty game, finishing second here. Really nobody else ran behind these two, but he only loses by 3 lengths to Tis the Law. He's fading at the end, but the early pace was honest enough. I think Ete Indian does have plenty of ability, and he's as talented as some others in this race. I just question the trip a little bit because he's drawn out in this number 11 post position. He's done his best running on the lead or contesting the early pace, and the pace projector indicates he might not be fast enough to make the lead here. So I just question what kind of trip he's going to work out, but I'm not going to be surprised if he's in the mix at the end because he does have the requisite ability. The number 10 Shotsky is another horse that I think you have to consider, but I've got many of the same concerns that I do about Ete Indian. We'll take a look at Shotsky winning the Remsen 2-back. He holds on going the 1 1/8 this day. He had really the best of it on the front end because you can see that red color-coded race rating box in his TimeformUS PPs indicating that this day at Aqueduct was speed favoring. The track was really playing towards front runners. He holds on over Ajaweed, who maybe not as good as some people hoped he would be. Shotsky came back last time in the Withers and lost to Max Player, who just got the distance better than he did. Cutting back to a mile on the 16th might actually help Shotsky, but again, can he make the front end here, and can he be effective if he doesn't? There are a couple of horses in this race coming out of maiden victories that could be prices. The one that might attract more attention is the number 7 Country Grammar, just because he's going out for the Chad Brown barn, and they seem to always take a lot of money in these races. I'm not the biggest fan of Country Grammar. I know we earned a 1:04 TimeformUS speed figure in his maiden win last time, which is okay. He's got to improve to compete against this field. I just thought he had all the best of in that November 11th race, because that was a time when the Aqueduct main track was really hurting horses that had to run through kickback. Country Grammar's rider, Irad Ortiz, kept him out of the kickback the entire way and just kind of fell into the victory, beating Portos, who's kind of a plodding type. He finished 3rd in the Withers, but he's not the best 3-year-old out there, so I think Country Grammar is going to have to improve. Another horse coming out of a maiden win that might attract some support is the number 1 Candy Tycoon. Only highlighting this horse because he really got the best of the post position draw. He's drawn down towards the inside. That's an advantageous slot going this 1/16 distance at Gulfstream, where you head directly into the first turn. We'll take a look at his maiden victory last time, where he won by 4 lengths over a stablemate. Again, nobody else does a ton of running behind this horse, but he earns a decent TimeformUS speed figure. This is a horse who always trained really well. There was a lot of hype around him going back to Saratoga last summer. It took him a long time to break his maiden and start to fulfill that potential, but I thought his last race was a step in the right direction. We'll see what kind of trip he works out, if he can stalk the pace, because he did win in gate-to-wire fashion when he broke his maiden last time. But I'm not going to be shocked if this horse takes another step forward, because there were a lot of expectations at one point. But those two, they are long shots in this race. I think this race is mostly about the favorites. Dennis's Moment, he's going to be tough to beat, but I'm taking a shot against him with the aforementioned number 6 As Seen on TV. Just like his recent races, think he's going to be about the 3rd choice in this race if chance it stays in, and I just think he's likely to improve with a stretch out in distance. So taking a shot with number 6 As Seen on TV in the Fountain of Youth on Saturday at Gulfstream Park.